We'll get started. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please. Here.
Here.
In lieu of invocation, we'll have a moment of silence, and I'd like to acknowledge the passing of Farron Jackson's mother. He's the Leech Lake Chair, passed away the other day. And then also to those that are healing or are in the hospital. And we'd like to have a moment of silence for them also. Miigwech.
The only thing on the agenda would be to add a discussion on a grand council under other.
Okay, anything else? Not, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda with the addition. Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Meeting minutes of special meeting held November 1st at Lake Vermilion. Call for a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 1st, 2017.
Move.
Moved by Travis, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brandon. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
First, got an introduction of new staff. Kurt.
I'd like to introduce Kurt Goodsky. His intro date was June 26th, but he's just been so busy closing out EPA grants and starting his new grant and learning his job and getting ready for the fiscal year. So here's Kurt Goodsky, Environmental Services Manager.
Morning. I'd like to introduce Jeremy Sunbaum, our new solid waste.
Welcome aboard, Jer. Oh.
First payroll deduction.
Okay, next we have the consent agenda, approved contract for CD services with Sheree Moldenhauer. Council poll vote was 400. And then approved agreement with Essentia for lab services. Council poll vote was 400. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Okay, first on the agenda, we have Donna with a couple appointments. Yes, committees.
Good morning, Donna. This Friday? Okay. Questions? I'll ask for a motion to approve Melissa Wright to the American Indian Mental Health Advisory Council and the Region 3 Adult Mental Health Initiative.
Move.
Oh, wait, no. Mm. Oh. You have it?
Person designated to serve as the band's representative on the American Indian Mental Health Advisory Council, employed by the band. Previous person. Maybe the language there could be.
There's a motion to approve it, maybe with some clarification on the last whereas regarding the appointment and the no longer employed former member that was sitting on the board.
Yeah, just a suggestion. If you put his name in there. Okay, I'll second.
Moved by Brandon, seconded by Ray. With those changes, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Okay, then we have the BSU agenda item. I see Doris would like to have Terry appointed to this. Call for a motion to approve Terry Defoe. Made by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you, Donna.
Next, we have Andy Datko. Recommendation for tribal representative to the Arrowhead Regional.
Good morning, Andy. Move to approve Brooke McMillan to the Arrowhead Regional Development Commission as a tribal rep. Is there a second? Made by Brandon.
Second.
Seconded by Trav. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Brooke.
Next, we have Panda and Angela. Agreement.
Good morning, ladies.
Family Support Coordinator and Victim Services Coordinator and Indian Child Welfare Victim Services Supervisor.
Just one question, Panda. Have you ever received increases in these amounts throughout the years, or have they been minimal, or?
Yes, we have this grant agreement here because it's 2 years. We had applied for a 5-year competitive grant funding cycle, and this is part of it. They've broken it up into 2 years, and then our next funding cycle will be another 2 years, and the last year would be our final 1 year.
This is just a general question. Have you seen any increases in dollars due to the issue of sex trafficking now? Have they mentioned anything at the state?
Our funding agency always told us, like, if there was any request for anything that we would have to provide services for, and sex trafficking is one of them in one of the areas for our other grant that we're approved for.
Great.
Yeah.
Good.
So
Thank
we
you.
requested, and they end up approving.
After this 5-year period is up,
Yes. We have already been advised to prepare for the next funding cycle and to request an increased amount if it is needed, if the dollars are there. Yeah.
Yeah, motion made by Ray to approve the Crime Victim Services Grant Agreement for the 2-year period of 2017 to 19, made by Ray. Is there a second? Seconded by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Good job. Thank you, girls.
We have Jennie Rowland with a request for overtime, comp time for her bus drivers.
Good morning, Jenny.
Okay, we are showing a shortage in bus drivers right now. We've had a couple illnesses. And, we are in the process of posting for drivers, and until we are able to hire some more drivers, we are not able to continue current services with the staffing that we have right now without current drivers going over 40 a week.
So I know this started a little bit back when one of your drivers was hospitalized, one of your full-time drivers. And I know that you had requested myself, and then also I believe Corey sent a memo. We had put not a stop, but we did hold off on comp time and overtime for staff to earn, but only in an emergency situation. And there was no place in there for who's going to approve it or how we're going to do it. That was brought to me by Miranda. So I asked Miranda if we could put this on the agenda today because it was coming to the point where they were going to be cutting routes to the Big Woods Transit Program. And I know a lot of people do rely on that service in the community and also for the employment and getting around to town. So Jenny's here today to request this variance so her people, until she gets some more drivers hired, can request overtime for her drivers.
That would be preferable, yes.
And Jenny also mentioned that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jenny, that you have funds to cover the overtime?
Yes, we have, our grant money will cover this. This won't all our monies come from grant monies.
No questions for Jenny? I'll call for a motion to approve the variance request for overtime and comp time for the Big Woods Transit. Oops. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Tara. Yes, please.
You be honoring any more variances, because we'll bring one. We
Yeah.
need one for forestry, a little bit of environmental and water quality, but this is seasonal.
Okay. Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Call for a motion to approve the variance request for Big Woods Transit until they're fully staffed. Move to approve by Reyes. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trabb. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.
Miranda's issue was the same, was it going to be the same discussion topic, so we don't need to address that. How are we?
Yeah, I guess so. Yep. Thank you, Miranda.
Next, we had George. He's still en route here, so can we move his stuff to the end of the agenda? He had 4 issues from the radio station. On to Sidra.
Okay.
Sidra, good stuff up with the language committee, and then application request.
Good morning, Sidra.
Good morning. I'm here today to request your approval in the establishment of a language committee. For about a month and a half now, several of us, community members and employees, have been meeting on Thursday afternoons at noon to discuss our language needs, I guess, the needs of I don't want to use the word revitalizing, but kind of reestablishing our language as an important aspect. So I just want to officially receive your authorization to establish this language committee. This language committee will also be real helpful, or the establishment of this actual language committee will be real helpful in future grant applications and you know, getting research and all the data and documentation that we're always needing. So,
I know that this was posted for community members to attend and be a part of, and then also, if, there's no set amount of people, correct? Is there?
Correct.
Or anybody can come anytime? and
anyone
if they
can come
want-
at any time. We are going to be establishing a board.
Okay.
And we did have elections last week, and I believe it was Chaz Wagner, myself, and
Darren.
who?
Darren
Dan Langren.
Okay.
You know, I don't know that at this point there's real actual action business that's going to be
Okay.
taking place. But I think that the consensus was that the establishment of a board would kind of help keep things cohesive and keep things going.
It was really nice to see, because I did have a chance to sit in on one meeting, and a lot of young people were there, and some elders, and it's community members.
Yes.
So it's really much needed, and I was very impressed with the turnout, so
Yeah.
good job
Yeah,
for
there
everybody.
was, at one time, there was 26 people accounted for on one meeting. It's really taken a very, very positive swing, and everybody loves the idea of it, and basically just to establish ourselves as a committee, like Sidra said, will help with funding, and that's basically what we're going, and then we're going to set goals, and in the meantime meet and come up with different ideas on how to better the language, and people wanting to learn it, you know. Just the turnout in itself, we've averaged 20-some people there that either have expressed interest in coming that day or actually showed up. So it's a good thing.
Good.
You're asking for recognition by resolution.
That's
Are
correct.
you going to prepare a resolution then and bring it back?
I can do that, yeah. Yep.
That would be
Probably not
part
at
of
that
your
point. That'll
committee.
be part of our committee process, yeah. I think that'll kind of be a ways down the road. Okay,
Make it official.
yeah, I can do that.
Don?
I think this is a good thing to get going. In the past, the last culture committee always got stipends or wanted money. Volunteerism on this committee is can get our elders involved, those that speak fluently. Start with the young babies up to adults. Have a lot of good ideas, and for all of us.
Which, Don? I agree.
Yeah, so that's I think an important thing that we establish is that it is volunteer. Every single person that comes is committed to volunteering their time, and you know, as far as what the committee will be, it will be just a language committee focused on the language, and we won't be advising the council or worrying about council matters. It's we're just going to stick to the task at hand, and I think that's the excitement that people have in showing up, and why the numbers are so good. You know, we have to go different routes. We have to try something new. Because if you look at what the council has invested in language in the past, you know, one year was $101,000 for 3 years. That's $300,000 that was invested in language. You have, 65,000 for how many years? That's a lot of money. And basically, to be honest, there was nothing to show for it. So you got to try something else that'll work, and the burden shouldn't fall on the council for us to whether people want to learn their language or not. We should never get the blame for that stuff. But
Back to those days. Back to the culture. Money is, dollars to do a ceremony, $500. Out of the traditions being followed. I know a lot more, but what they taught us. I learned from my parents to the committee.
Big witch done. Thank you very much. If no other comments or questions, I'll call for a motion to approve the establishment of the Language Committee, with Sidra bringing a resolution forward at our next meeting.
Sure will, yep. I apologize for not putting one together. I kind of wasn't sure if we needed resolution for that,
Okay.
or, so.
Okay.
yeah, I'll move to acknowledge.
I'll move.
Moved by Brandon, seconded by Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Next, we have a resolution to apply for a grant.
Good morning, Brooke.
So this grant is for the Heritage Museum, and we kind of haven't decided what to go with for the project yet. We're going to meet today to decide which way we want to take it, but we basically just need a letter of support or a resolution showing support from the tribal council.
Do you know, with the grant application, what are some dollar amounts we're looking at?
The max would be $75,000, and there's no match required.
Oh, nice.
Maximum amount?
Yes.
Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
It is a federal grant. It is a agency that falls under the federal government, but it's a kind of a small, weird one, I think.
Good.
Not a big, big organization.
Is this just a one-year grant, one time?
I think it can go 2 years, but it doesn't have to go 2 years.
Okay.
You can do it for 1 year. It kind of just depends on which project they decide. Yeah, so. But, yep, by Mark Anderson.
There wasn't an actual requirement in the grant notice of funding that required a resolution, but we kind of feel that, especially with federal grants that are applied for, that it's a better idea to keep you guys aware and have some conversation about it.
Okay.
Correct, yeah.
Call for a motion to approve the grant resolution for the grant application to the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Motion made by Ray. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brandon. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Good job, girls. Good
Big
luck.
luck.
Thank you.
Next, we have a request for Randy Long. It's actually a sole source from Compudine licensing for 10 users of Acrobat Pro at the Health and Human Services. Oh, sorry, Ed. I didn't know you were taking.
No, he
Randy's.
couldn't be here. He has
Okay.
something else going on.
Morning, Ed.
Basically, it's just sole sourcing from Compudine for our 10 licenses of Adobe Acrobat Pro.
And this comes out of the health budget. Okay,
Yes.
the amount of $3,960. Call for a motion to approve the sole source Compudine licensing for 10 licenses for Health and Human Services for Epic.
Move.
Moved by Travis, is there a second? Seconded by Ray. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Don with the Ontario Commission appointments.
Good morning, Don, again.
What I have here is a, there's only 7, we have 7 seats available, and there's only 7 that signed up, which is a big difference from, we had 35 last time. What I need for the council to do is to select 4 members to serve 4-year terms, and 3 members to serve 2 years. Stagger them.
Okay. Has there been other, the people that signed up have been on the commission before, some of them?
2 of them,
2 of them?
Ellen Little and Jim Morrison.
Okay.
And they did really, really well.
Okay.
Glad they signed up again.
My thought on that part is maybe we could have those 2 be the first members to serve the 4-year terms, because then that would be, you know, in any committee and whatever else you want experience and longevity and whatever else, so, yeah.
We have a lot of work in front of us. I would like to visit the Terra ordinance again to make it stronger. A lot of training opportunities coming up that I would like some input on. Haven't had a meeting in a long time.
Yep, now is the time to do it.
Well, it looks like, even though you only got 7 of them, you got pretty good group. Still, yeah, that's,
We need 2 more.
I'd like to recommend Sidra. Geraldine Deegan for 2 years.
Or Lewis. And Janice are left, right?
right, Mom. You need 1 more 4-year. Jan is pretty bossy.
Okay, so I have Janice, Ellen, Sidra, and
Jim?
Jim for 4-year term, and Cheryl, Shar, and Geraldine for 2.
Correct. Yeah.
The reason we have an odd number like that is because sometimes one of them can't make it, so.
Don't make that motion.
A motion to approve the appointments as stated for Ellen, Jim, Sidra, and Janice for 4-year terms, Cheryl, Shar, and Geraldine for 2-year terms. Motion made by Brandon. Is there a second? Second by Ray. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Good luck, Don. We're looking forward to that.
I'm used to Brandon not voting on anything.
Good job, Don.
Okay, well, George is here and we got Kim. George did make it, so.
We can take George.
George,
Sorry, Kim.
sole source.
Morning, George.
What you got, or what I'm presenting here is sole source request for a satellite interconnect service from NPR. This is something that has been approved in the past. Same thing, and accounting needs a sole source to document the payment.
And you've got money in the budget to cover this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Call for a motion to approve sole source request for satellite interconnect service from National Public Radio.
Move.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
I see the second item here is listed as an affiliate agreement, and that would be with Native Voice One, and that goes along with the sole source statement for Native Voice One there, which is listed as a 4th item on my items. Basically, we get our programming from Native Voice One. It's another thing that's been approved in the past, and we're just updating the agreement for 18.
Move to approve the FY18 affiliate agreement with Native Voice One made by Ray. Is there a second? Seconded by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
The last item is a marketing agreement with Radio Broadcasting LLC. I see it says community safety announcements, but it's all ad placements, I guess including some safety announcements. Should we get a buy from a national organization, this basically is an agreement that this representative wants to include us in any buys that our market meets their requirement. Just a side note, this agent was a representative, I'm trying to remember the other organization she was with, but you guys approved the same thing, I think it was in 2014. And she's just with a new organization or a new company, and she wants to do the same thing for us.
Has Mark reviewed the marketing agreement? Did you have Mark review the marketing agreement?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Call for a motion to approve the marketing agreement with Radio Broadcasting for ad placements and community announcements.
Mm-hmm.
Move.
Moved by Brandon. Is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
All right, thanks, guys.
One more.
George.
One more. Sole source from Native Voice One for
Oh, okay.
programming.
All right, as a separate item, I thought that went along with the F18 affiliate agreement, but in paying their invoice, accounting needs document, the sole source, and you guys have approved this for the last 5 years, so.
Call for a motion to approve the sole source from Native Voice One for programming services.
Oh, yeah.
Move.
Moved by Ray. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trav. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, good job.
We have Kim, request open bank accounts, health budgets, and the Christmas club match.
Morning, Kim.
The first item I have is the request to open some bank accounts as we are transitioning from the RPMS system to Epic at the health office. They're also transitioning, having an outside company do our medical billing for us, and they'll be doing it in-house. So we need to have some separate bank accounts and then also have them permission to have them have internet or online banking access just to review so they can post the electronic fund transfer payments on a timely basis on those accounts to keep up with the work.
How many accounts, Kim, do you think you need?
I had 4 listed there, but I really need 5. I need an account for the medical billing, the dental billing, the ambulance billing, CD, and I'd like to add ICWA. We already have one established for the pharmacy because we are waiting for approval of opening that up to individuals with close and personal ties to the reservation.
So medical, dental, ambulance, ICWA, and who else?
CD.
CD. Do you need one, do you already have one for mental health, or are you going to need one for mental health?
No, we don't
Okay.
need one for mental health because
Okay.
that's billed under the clinic.
Okay. Well, moved by Ray to approve the request from Kim to open 5 bank accounts for Health and Human Services. Is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
The next item I have is the portion of the budget that was not on when we reviewed the rest of the budget. You have your large spreadsheet again for all the Health and Human Services programs, and then I have a summary memo. The ones that are highlighted in like an orangish color are ones that are paid out of third-party revenues that at one time, not last year, but prior to fiscal year 2017 had been paid for out of Fortune Bay distribution funds.
And these weren't part of the total budget because of why again?
Because they're not asking for money from Fortune Bay.
Okay.
And this wasn't ready at that time because we had waited, we needed more information.
Well, I know the ones that, the ones that I have a problem with putting in this budget is the fitness centers, and that will be at $164,000, and another one at $115,000 for a total of $279,000 to be taken out of our third-party revenue, and that's a lot of money to put. Basically, to find a way to make budget. And I utilize the fitness centers. I do. I think, they were, it was a good idea. but I don't think the process and how to take care of them after was fully thought out. And, you know, it costs our band a lot of money, $279,000. And we represent a lot of people that, over 3,000 people. And I just, I know we met and we were trying to figure out ways to get them funded, but I think that whole process should have been thought through before they were put up. I know people come in and they see Nett Lake and, oh, there's wonderful things and great things, but you know, for 4 years, this cost us over $1.1 million. And when you keep adding up those years, it ends up being a lot of money. And, you know, I go back to last spring when we, you know, just about sent people home for, to cut their hours. I'd just like to see us build more money. And, you know, my hope is that these things get fully funded, and just kind of stashing them in a health budget or whatever else. I guess I can only speak for myself. I don't agree with that. And, you know, because that's one pool of money in one place where it's actually a successful thing, where they're actually, you know, getting things turned around after losing a lot of money. And what do? We stuff more things in there. And I just, I for one just can't agree with that. So, but there's 4 other council members. So,
I got a question, Kim. This was previously funded by Fortune Bay revenues.
Yeah, 2006 or prior. In 2017, excuse me, 2016 or prior. 2017, it was funded out of health third-party revenues. And this year, that's where it's.
So how many years did it come from Fortune Bay?
Since they opened, I would have to go back and look because I don't remember what years the centers were built.
Right, and just so people understand out there that you know, this for 1 year it probably doesn't look bad, 279,000, but when you add it up over years, you're talking over $1 million, maybe a couple million, and that's what I'm getting at, is all of these things were kind of pushed to make it appear we were doing all these great things, and there was really no explanation as to what would fund it and where it would come out of, and it was coming out of Fortune Bay funds. Okay, so when Fortune Bay funds, when all of that stuff finally catches us, and we can no longer throw money here and there, we look for other places to stuff it. And you know, that you know, the same people that got us in this predicament are the same ones that keep doing this stuff. So they either don't understand or they don't care, is my feeling on it.
I guess I'd like to make a comment, and I agree with Brandon that some of these buildings in the past were built without realizing how we're going to sustain them. But in the area of healthcare, I know, like with this money budgeted for the Native Hearts fitness centers and the Vermilion Fitness Center, that there will still be operational costs, whether there's staffing there or not, for heat, lights, because we do have the keyless entry correct, for people to use. And I know that we had a presentation done by the Boys and Girls Club, and not the Boys and Girls Club, our youth clubs, and the fitness center, where some of the staff showed the projects from the fitness center that they've been using with, an example would be the Nett Lake Elementary School with looking at the BMIs of the kids. We know that childhood obesity is a big issue across the nation, and the key for in healthcare for everything is prevention. The cost up front is a lot less than the cost down the road. And so I know that fitness is considered to be very preventative for injuries for staff, and also I think in the area of childhood obesity, the programs that the fitness staff have implemented, and I remember when Becca Bundy was there, the monitoring the BMIs of our K through 6 kids, and then also incorporating community wellness things, walks or whatever for different events. These are the types of things that can bring a community together. The other thing is that when the clinic generates revenue or any of the programs generate revenue, it's to also enhance services for future needs. And I know that there was talk, just because of my involvement in the healthcare field, that there was talk of incorporating the fitness centers to use them at some point in time for physical therapy. A lot of our people have to travel to Cook or Virginia, whether it be in Vermilion or Nett Lake, for physical therapy. And I know that we had talked with Cook Physical Therapy Unit to have someone do therapy right on the reservation in the fitness centers, and then use that as a billable service. And so I think that's one area that we can really start looking at, doing a study on, or a feasibility study on how many people we have in physical therapy. And getting those services here at Boys Fort, because travel is a big issue for people to go to physical therapy, and if it's here, they may participate longer, because I know, myself included, I don't attend all my sessions. I only go until I feel better, and then I quit. But maybe that's an encouragement. But it is the third-party revenues are to increase programs and services. And so I really feel that there will still be costs with the fitness centers, but the presentation that the staff did have some positive things coming out of it, and they also gave us some ideas for marketing our fitness centers. I know that the Vermilion one was generating some revenue, not a lot, but some, but we can market our fitness centers in the surrounding area to the resorts and what have you. A lot of people are into fitness nowadays, so I guess I see it more as a positive thing. I know money is an issue, but when it comes to prevention, the money up front is not as much as the cost it's going to be later on for if we don't do any kind of prevention activity. That's just my comment coming from the healthcare field.
Yeah.
I know a lot, you know, it's the same concept as you know, anything else. They're all done with good intentions. I'm not you know, saying that it wasn't, you know, like the language, look at how much money we spent per year on that. There was 3 years we kicked in $166,000 per year times 3 years. That's $1 million, or you know, $500,000. And the results, sooner or later, the results have to hit us in the face. And also, we always have to be reminded that we represent 3,000 people, and most of them aren't here. And they remind us every 2 years that they're there. And you know, I agree with the prevention part of it, but also as a person that's in the school almost every day, you know, I don't see it. I mean, and that's you know, so I guess we have to balance each other on what is best. Like we said, what are each of us think is success. And, you know, my idea of success is to save money. One thing I was thinking about earlier when them girls were up here, they're set for 5 years with their grant. Now, if something happens in 5 years where the federal government or the state government cuts out their program, I looked on there was 5 or 6 people covered under that grant. I'd like to think that 5 years from now we have money saved and money in the bank to cover those kind of things where we don't have to send people home or, you know, look at a loan to cover hours and things like that. That's just kind of where I'm coming from. But the other part of it, again, they were put here, and now we have to deal with them. One of the things I did like, and those are the solutions I'm looking for, is the rehab part of it, and billing and generating at least enough to halfway take care of themselves. I think that's kind of, you know, the reason why I called that meeting for the fitness centers and the Boys and Girls Club is I'd like to start working on how we're going to be funded next year, as opposed to coming in July and hoping we coast till October and then stuffing them somewhere and making budget, kind of like what's been going on, I guess, for some time. So, but I do like the rehab thing, and maybe if we, you know, somewhere down the road there's grants and you can do, there's a lot of things like with different machines that help people rehab and different things. So.
Well, I just like to say the wellness centers are a good thing. I think we're on the right track. For so long, we've been trying to get it on away from being a cost of the Fortune Bay distributions. And so we're looking for another resource to finance it. And to me, it's a natural that it's coming out of the health department. They're generating revenue to promote healthy lifestyles, and there's probably nothing better in our community to help do that than the wellness centers. You know, the wellness centers were established in there before I got on the council, so I don't know what I would have done in the development stages, but they are there, and they're a good asset to the community, and we should continue to support them because it is a good thing for the community for all the reasons that Kathy mentioned. The potential for generating revenue through physical therapy programs or whatever. So I'm 100% behind the health department financing the fitness centers. It just makes sense. It just fits into what their goals are, and so I think we should fund them. And when you're ready for a motion, I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Kathy and Ray that no, we gotta prevention, and this would be a way to do it. You know, teaching the kids how to exercise properly and to go out and want to continue to exercise, and we have a really state-of-the-art fitness center, and we should allow, you know, the people to utilize that. And like Kathy said, you know, an ounce of prevention now is going to be worth more down the road than when somebody's sick and we're not going to be able to help them, or if they need the help that, you know, because of health problems that they could have prevented. But again, you know, I see that we should continue to go forward with with the fitness centers, and earlier this, when Teresa was going to rehab in Cook, I got a chance to talk to Brian McCarthy. He's one of the rehab people there, and he said that, and he talked to me, and he said that he had sent a letter a couple of years back for he wanted to come up and utilize the fitness center and start a rehab program because he knew that there was a lot of people from Nett Lake and Vermilion that were coming to the Cook area to get rehab treatment. And he said if I could come up and sit down with your staff up there, and now I know we got Don as the new health director, maybe I can direct him to talk to, and I know Don, I must know him, she worked there at the hospital, but Brian was willing to come up and sit down with our health people and get some kind of a program in place where our band members would be able to rehab our fitness centers, and that would be able to set up probably a building to utilize or would come back to the band. So again, I told him that I would talk to him when I got back, but then that's when Teresa passed away there, and then it was kind of hectic and things kind of got set on the roadway, on the side of the road there. But now that this has come up, I can contact Brian, or otherwise Donna can contact Brian and set up a meeting and have him come up and see what he could put in place or whatever to have people utilize our fitness centers for rehab treatment.
My thoughts on that would be that's a good direction to go. The rehab stuff, it's and just utilize as like a sports club.
Mm-hmm.
Play some racquetball, some volleyball, a fun thing. Yeah, keyless entry, it's generating money. I get payroll deduction every paycheck to do my part. I don't use it as much as I should. But I was here, we don't give you guys enough direction. You just heard some direction. Let's get into rehab therapy stuff. Help with the cost of it.
Yeah, I love that idea, and I hope that's the way we go, and at least some grants or whatever to take care of half of it and whatever else. That's all I wanted was a plan and some action, and no longer we can no longer just wait for the casino to come through. We have to put these things in place now. We can't be trying to make things happen come July. So that's kind of what I wanted to do with a few things around here. So thank you.
No other comments or questions? I'll call for a motion to approve the FY 2017 health budgets.
I will move.
By Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I'm going to be opposed.
Silent. Motion carried. Okay, Kim.
The last item we have is the approval to do a Christmas Club match again for 2018. We did it in 2017. I think there was about 125 people who originally signed up, and about 85 made it through following the rules, but we had to clarify the rules to make it to make it clear for the employees, and also to allow employees who do not work every pay period to participate. So and correct some of those things from this past year. So the biggest thing is if they're not working or they don't receive a paycheck, they have to make their own biweekly deposit. They have to make it every 2 weeks. As you can see, I attached a schedule so they could keep track. You know, so if it's someone who's like an on-call or seasonal, they can mark it, you know, keep track. The other thing that was suggested to me is to try to change it back to a match versus a percentage versus a straight-out percent. This would be out of the 2019 budget. I think it worked pretty well for the most part. There was some things that need to be clarified. And if everybody participated and got the $400 match, it would cost the tribal council about $80,000, but that's out of the 19 budget.
This is in place of the previous
Well, we
COLAs
only,
that were,
yeah, it was in place of, because we used to get COLA. But remember also that if you read number 22, it says the RTC will match up to 25% of the savings met by the conditions above, up to a maximum of $400. Instead of a dollar for dollar match, it's a 25% match to try to encourage people to save more. Because the idea was to you put a little bit away each time and learn to save. And
or questions?
similar, they're just with the corrections for people who are, you know, don't work full-time, and the match changed from 1-to-1 to, you know, 25% to 1.
The maximum up to
400, yeah. Yeah. It was, last year I had presented it as a 25% match, and you guys wanted it a 1-for-1. But, the people I've been talking to had suggested that we do a match so that they're encouraged to save more. $1,600, yeah. Yeah, to get, you know, and they have 21 pay periods to do that over. No, that's what it would be. Before it was just, if they saved 400 and had a payroll deduction every pay period, they got a $400 match, so it was 1-for-1. This would be, if you save $400, you know, if you had the same deduction to get $400, you would get 100. If you wanted more, you save more, and then it's capped at the 400. But we only had it authorized for 1 year last year, and so we're having the employee fair the next couple of days. Yes.
Any other questions? I'll call for a motion to approve the 2018 Christmas Club Match Program. Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Kim.
Last we had a discussion on the Grand Council.
Yesterday, or Monday, Tuesday, Travis and I had the opportunity to attend the Tribal Opioid Summit at White Earth, and there were about 250 to 300 people that attended this summit from all the tribes in Minnesota, including the 4 Dakota. At the end of the day yesterday, or in about 2 o'clock, the tribal leaders that were in attendance all got together and we're trying to come up with a plan of action as to, where do we go from next? And one of the items discussed was having another opioid summit. But the other thing that was discussed was having a grand council. And I would like to, all the leaders that were in attendance yesterday are taking this back to their tribal councils for their okay or thumbs up or thumbs down on a grand council. What that is that they would like to have all the tribes in Minnesota be on this grand council, even the 4 Dakota tribes. And it's the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council is a state-funded council, and not all the tribes are on the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council. But what the intent of the Grand Council is to have all the tribes come together and unite, because there is power in numbers, and the tribes are somewhat frustrated with the state of Minnesota and other funding that comes down, because we're given scraps and we have to fight amongst ourselves on who's going to get those scraps when it comes to funding. And we feel that if we present a united front as a Grand Council with all the tribes in Minnesota and approach the state, we'd probably have more power and more leverage for hopefully more funding. And to make the state be aware that, we're here and we're not going to go away. But if we make a united front, it'll be better. And most of the attendees there were in agreement, and they are bringing it back to their councils. So they did ask that it be a consensus vote, and the Sioux tribes, and we're going to try have a meeting, if it's okay with this with our council to approve being involved with this Grand Council. Probably, hopefully, the sooner the better. Maybe at the next TEC meeting the day prior or whatever, but we just want the okay, or we would like to get the okay from the tribal councils as a whole to go with this approach with all the 11 tribes.
I just have one question. We do have the Minnesota Indian Affairs Commission, and you said that all tribes are not part of that?
Right.
Is that elective on their part? Okay, so they could join Minnesota Indian Affairs Commission, and then you'd have representation from everybody. But they won't join MIAC, but they'll join Grand Council.
Correct. And the MIAC is state-funded, and so that's why this Grand Council concept comes from many, many, many years ago. That's how the tribes in Minnesota used to be, on a traditional concept.
How was that paid for? How would this be paid for?
There's no money involved right now, it's just a title.
So it would be a cost to the tribal councils?
No. The cost could be in telephone conference calls or whatever, but it's being a collaborative effort. And one of the items that we talked about was that one of the Sioux tribes they have surveyors that are certified, sharing resources and sharing ideas. The other thing is that the Sioux tribes are now getting together and meeting quarterly, which is a big step for the Sioux tribes because they never done that in the past. And right now they are in the process of funding a healing center in lieu of being called a treatment center, that they are funding themselves, and they are not getting money from the state. It's going to be run how they want it. People can stay as long as they want to stay. They aren't told you have to be out within 30 or 60 days. But these are it would be a new direction for tribes to take as a unit. As we found out, the opioid epidemic is Minnesota leads the state with Native American overdoses and whatever throughout the country. And if we make a united front on issues that affect all of us, we'd probably have better outcome rather than doing it all individually. But there's no cost right now to the tribes.
I think it's a great concept and great idea. You know, I guess my only suggestion to them when we all meet is to establish a set of goals and mission statement as far as what it is, and that would be representing the tribes and bands of Minnesota for the betterment of all. And you know, that wouldn't be any of the other stuff that goes on when we go and meet with the MCT. You know, you wouldn't want it to turn into anything like that.
No.
This would be for the betterment of all our tribes and bands in the state of Minnesota. So if they could just keep it to that concept, I think it's a great thing.
And we talked also about not just the leaders going, but all the leaders going. The entire councils attend these meetings or, you know, conference calls or whatever, because we all have ideas, we all have different opinions, but it's a way for us to come together and unify and unite. Come on, Don. And I know from the opioid summit that one of the things that we were talking about is sharing information as tribes, because we know that our dealers and people that are dealing these drugs are traveling from casino to casino to casino to reservation to reservation to reservation. And in order for us to combat this, we need to share information and come together. And there's legislative issues that need to be resolved, jurisdictional issues with law enforcement, and those types of things. So if we can do that, that's what I would see this as being. And I like what Brandon said, and I think that is the intent, is to, first of all, just say, yeah, are we interested in becoming a part of this Grand Council, yes or no? And then, you know, if it turns out to be something that we don't want to, we can always step back. Is this something you guys would be okay with pursuing right now, just from a informational standpoint and seeing what comes together?
Well, I just would not like to see it become another
MCT.
level of bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's always good to get together and share ideas and problems and commonalities, what they can actually do, what they can enforce.
I think mainly what it is to approach a state, work with the legislature as a unit. 'Cause all the issues, we all have the same issues, just about. And, you know, with law enforcement, jurisdictional issues, there's many different issues with Tipo, the incident that happened at Fond du Lac, you know, the archaeological stuff. There's all kinds of issues that affect us all, and knowing those resources and knowing, having the lobbyist power, I think also would be great. So it's just, the first step is just saying, you know, should we pursue it or not?
We're interested, yeah.
Okay. Basically, it's just to see if we're interested in becoming, see what this comes out to be.
You know, one of the things too is as far as, you see our casinos are always, we're always trying to compete against each other. It seems like is what I've always thought. But the more and more you talk to people that travel and visit our places, they make it a trip to go to 3 or 4 of them. You know, why not do some things like that together? That if you're going to hit all 3 of them, we all encourage it. Because they do anyway. You hear them. I came from Northern Lights, and I'm on my way to Portage. Or after this, we're going to Black Bear, then down to Hinckley. So those types of things, you know, maybe we'll look into those kind of things with them. So, but I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Any other comments? Am I okay to just see what the... Well, we did have Dennis Olson take some notes, and he got them to me about midnight last night. I haven't had a chance to pass them on to you guys, so I will forward them to you, so you can read them and maybe go from there. If you want to read the notes, that's fine. I just wanted to present it to you guys today, so. With that, I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Ray, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bran, and all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you, everybody.